Welcome back to the Just Like Family Calgary Home Care podcast. For today's episode, we are exploring a discussion surrounding keeping seniors active. It is no secret that staying active is important to your health, and this is no different for the aging population. Today we discuss how to stay active and the importance in keeping seniors physically active, especially at home. I hope that today's episode we can discover some practical tips to encourage safe movement. I will provide some simple exercises and discuss how staying active is crucial for physical health, brain function, emotional well-being, and independence. We will discuss what happens when we neglect movement, and I will share some motivational strategies to help overcome the resistance of physical activity.
Hi, it's Karen and Rick with Just Like Family Home Care. Do your parents need more care than you can give? We're here to help. We offer 24-hour premium care with a consistent helper.
Our home care services include transportation, personal care, housekeeping, and even overnight and dementia care.
At Just Like Family, we focus on relationships, ensuring your loved one is matched with someone perfect for them. We can help you navigate the aging journey and change your life. Learn more and go to justlikefamily.ca.
For today's episode, let's just jump right in and start with the why. Why is it important for seniors to stay active? We know that staying active is important for any age, but how does physical activity become important as you age? Staying active is not just about keeping muscles strong. It's about preserving independence, reducing the risk of falls, improving mood, and even supporting brain health. Studies show how regular movement can delay or even prevent chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and arthritis. Physical activity also supports neuroplasticity, helping to keep the brain sharp and responsive. We see this with stroke patients, and I'm sure you've all heard of a miracle story of someone suffering from a stroke and they lose function of a limb and they are able to recover with more function in that limb after practicing mindful movement over several weeks to sometimes even months or years. And then let's not forget mental health. Movement can significantly reduce anxiety, depression, and feelings of isolation, which are common in seniors. Physical activity is important for brain health and function. It increases blood flow to the brain, supports memory, and reduces the speed and risk of cognitive decline. Even just short bursts of daily movement can help with mood regulation, sleep quality, and general alertness. Recreational therapy helps older adults improve or maintain their physical, mental, and social, emotional, and spiritual functions. This allows them to keep participating fully in their lives. Recreational therapy can reduce depression, stress, anxiety. It helps you recover basic motor and reasoning skills. It helps to build confidence. It provides social interactions with others, and it is designed to be fun, but also structured and planned specifically to achieve clear goals. Movement makes the surrounding muscles stronger, and so a little bit of exercise goes a long way. It really is that simple. Physical activity is just plain important, but that does not mean that there is no barrier. As we age, we can face many challenges and barriers that affect your ability to move, and when there is a barrier, we often see inactivity or lack of physical activity. So what happens when we don't stay active, particularly in seniors? Being inactive creates a strong domino effect. Muscles weaken, which causes balance issues and a deterioration in the muscle mass. These two simple points alone will increase the risk of a fall. The next domino is the joints begin to stiffen, and the risk of falls increases drastically even more. The lack of physical activity has been proven to make recovery from an illness or surgery much longer and more difficult. Lack of physical activity is also linked to an increased speed of cognitive decline. From there, a person will experience a loss of independence. The increased risk of falls can increase the risk of hospital visits, injuries, and general decrease in the quality of life. So, what can we do? The answer is quite simple. We need to encourage our aging population to maintain movement. However, if you are a care provider, it is not as simple as just asking the person to get some exercise in. We have to be more mindful and intentional about implementing physical activity. So, here are a few tips to support senior activity. First, make it a routine. Schedule movement like you do with medication. Morning stretches after breakfast, or maybe a short walk every afternoon. Have it part of the schedule. It may not be part of the daily schedule, but as a care provider, you can implement physical activity every few days to start and work your way up, making it a daily routine if it ever gets to that point. But start making it and incorporating it into your schedule. The second tip I have is to ensure that you, as the care provider, are there as their physical activity workout buddy. And what I mean by this is not simply requesting or watching the person complete their exercises. We, as care providers, need to be mindful and intentional and provide that active support. We need to participate in the activity and the physical movement with them. This helps to build consistency and also a stronger connection. It also makes the task less demanding for the other person, and the care provider can make it more fun and less daunting. When we do it with them, we can also see how they're struggling, and we can also see how we can incorporate maybe tweaking that exercise just a little bit to make it a little bit more fun or a little bit easier on their joints. It's important to encourage participation rather than pushing it. We know physical activity is important, but we cannot guilt someone or push someone into stretching or get some movement in. However, what we can do instead is provide some encouragement and some reinforcement. Celebrate the small wins and provide acknowledgments in effort, big or small, and not just when there is an outcome. So provide them the acknowledgement or support when they do one rep or one task that was physically demanding, rather than just providing a verbal reinforcement when they finish the entire workout or the entire walk. The next tip I have for you is to adapt to energy levels. We are human, which means that not every day our energy levels are the same. The aging population is no different, and we cannot expect their output of energy to be the same every day or even every week. As care providers, it is important that we recognize that energy levels vary, which requires us to adapt the routine. So maybe 2 days ago, they were able to get up and off the chair for a total of 10 reps, but today their energy levels are significantly lower. You recognize this, you see it, you understand it. So rather than asking them to do the exact same amount that they did the other day when they had a higher energy level, you're going to reduce that demand. So rather than expecting them to do the same 10 reps, decrease the expectation to maybe 5 or 6 reps for that day. My fifth tip for today is to track the progress together. Sometimes using a calendar to track which day's movement was incorporated can provide a visual reminder, but it can also be motivating and encouraging. It is a good way to also document progress. You can use the visual aid as a way to provide some external motivation. So let's say you are a care provider and the first step to increasing movement is you've made a deal to have intentional movement incorporated 2 times per week. You can start marking it on the calendar, and when you don't hit that 2 times per week mark every week, you can use it as a visual reminder and a tool to get some exercise in. Now that we have talked about why movement is important and some ideas on how to get movement in the schedule, let's dive into some exercise ideas that you can do at home. My first tip is chair exercises. Everybody has a chair somewhere around them. This can look like seated leg lifts, arm circles or shoulder rolls, sit to stand, that sort of deal. You could also do this on the couch, in a chair at the kitchen table. For seniors who have a little bit more movement and ability to do so, you can incorporate things like gentle yoga and more advanced exercises to maintain physical well-being, like standing on one foot while holding a chair. So think balance and flexibility here. You can also incorporate some light cardio for the heart. In my frontline experience, dance music was generally a pretty big hit. It's motivating, it's fun, it doesn't really seem like you're doing some light cardio, so you can just say, hey, we're going to dance to this song and, make it a fun activity like karaokeing or following a dance routine on YouTube. You can make it pretty simple. It can be as easy as side steps during a commercial or clapping to some music. There is a ton of YouTube videos for this, so karaoke singing and exercise. Another common light cardio idea is simple walks in the backyard or going to the coffee shop around the house. Just kind of incorporating a little bit more movement. We can also do things like wall pushes or wall squats, which would be pretty hard for, I think, most seniors, but depends on who you're providing for. Care providers can also be creative, and this might look like asking them to grab the can of soup or a grocery item from the bag and placing it on the shelf or placing it on a higher shelf. The care provider can hand the grocery item from the bag, and then the other person can put the items away. That's also a very simple exercise. It can also be getting the cardboard from the kitchen and having them place the cardboard cracker box to the recycling in a different room of the house, and doing that maybe a couple times a day. You don't have to do 5 cardboard items in a row, but maybe hey, okay, we got to go throw this out. We got to go put this in the recycling. You can kind of spread those demands out a little bit, and at least they're still incorporating some movement into their day-to-day life. There is no single one way to incorporate some movement in every day, and care providers, you're welcome to do as much creativity in this area as possible to kind of increase some motivation for everyone. Couple other ideas for around the house: putting commonly used items on higher or lower shelves, but within reach, is also a good way to incorporate some light stretching with the arms and the shoulders. This encourages reaching, light bending, and promotes stretching and balance. Now, don't forget, don't make it too hard, but enough to just get some movement in. Care providers often do laundry, and you are likely moving the laundry basket for them. Maybe next time you can get them to carry an item with you to the laundry machine. So maybe the care provider is carrying the whole basket. So maybe next time you can get them to carry an item with you to the laundry machine. So maybe the care provider is carrying a basket, but the other person can carry the blanket or a small item to the laundry machine with you. Making the bed together is a great way to get some light full body movement as well. Depending on the person, you could also try some energetic methods such as turning physical movements into a game. So in my frontline experience, I once had a senior client who enjoyed scavenger hunts. This is an interactive and fun way to get some movement in. Again, person dependent, but time-based chores or a smartwatch, stepwatch can also be a fun way to incorporate physical activity into a more fun approach rather than just, oh, I gotta exercise today. Make it into something fun that they can enjoy. My next tip, if you are a family member, is to encourage the grandchildren to be involved in getting grandma or grandpa to walk or dance or do an activity together. Maybe your parents are more receptive to doing some activity with the grandchildren instead, which is also pretty common. So that's a great idea to incorporate some movement, but reducing that demand and making it more fun, right? Grandparents can often sometimes be more receptive to doing activities with their grandchildren rather than their own children. So encouraging your grandchildren to do a small but fun activity with the grandparents can also be a great way to incorporate some movement. You can also think of gardening, crafts, and walking the dog are some of the other activities that are still an option. Now that we have covered some ways to incorporate movement, the next part of today's episode, we will be talking about motivating seniors to move. Motivation is tricky, so here are a few tips for you when trying to motivate someone to incorporate physical activity into their day-to-day life. So kind of what I've been saying throughout the episode today is make it fun, but we also want to set achievable goals and adjust as time goes on. So this means that you are changing the goals based on their levels of abilities, their levels of energy, and provide personalized and individualized care. Maybe there was a recent progressive decline. which may indicate that the achievable goal needs to be reduced rather than increased, or perhaps there has been an improvement and there is room to move to the next level. Like I said before, music is a great motivator. Highlight the benefits of why movement is important. Gentle reminders as to why movement is important, why we should be doing this. Make movement a social activity rather than a demanding activity. We want to motivate, but we also want to be respectful of the person's autonomy. So offer choices and respect the choices being made. The care provider needs to be flexible, adaptive, and creative. As a final thought, movement is equal to mobility and promoting as much independence as possible. Promoting range of motion exercises will improve mood, sleep, concentration, and reduce pain in the long term. When we practice upper body action range of motion, pain is decreased and circulation is improved, which allows for more nutrients to go to the joints. And without movement, we get stiff. Staying active allows us to maintain a level of independence, which is important for everybody. While practicing range of motion exercises, you may need to remind the person to relax in order to allow a muscle or joint to bend. You also want to keep movement in a pain-free range of motion. As we wrap up today, remember that staying active doesn't mean intense workouts or complicated routines. It does not have to be overwhelming. It's simple, consistent movements done with care, intentionality, and encouragement, and that is what will make all the difference. Whether it's stretching in a chair, dancing in a living room, walking to the mailbox, every bit of movement supports better health, sharper thinking, and greater independence. As a caregiver, your support is super powerful, and you have the ability to turn everyday moments into opportunities for strength, connection, and well-being. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode helped you, please consider sharing it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their caregiving journey. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. I hope tuning into today's episode provided some insight on the importance of supporting physical activity and provided some thought around how you can incorporate movement in your life as a senior or as a care provider supporting those aging. Thank you for choosing to listen to the Just Like Family Home Care Calgary podcast, and I will see you soon. Bye.